And so, interesting 5th pick Undying. We don't see that all that often. It's likely going to be a mid Dazzle for this infamous lineup, and that's what we talked about, picking that up in the first phase, offering that flexibility to your draft. Similar with the Tiny, but Tiny against Dazzle seems like an abysmal matchup, so likely Gorillaz to flex him towards that 4 position and have that Winter Wyvern play the hard 5, as she often does. So far, stream looks smooth. I hope the audio levels are good, guys. Again, feel free to harp at me. And this is a really good pick here from Gorillaz-Pride. Feels like he can almost solo lane wherever he goes on this Batrider. And sort of any partner will be good for him. Sladen, for himself, going to pick up that 5th pick Batrider. Pretty boss-looking Terrorblade as well for Berna. I wonder if that's a Dawn Berna thing. Big fan of Narcos. Wonder if you guys agree with me. I have no idea. No background really on these players. The only ones I've sort of seen are Sladen, Papita, and Timado, who will still be playing the carry role here. So I wasn't sure loading into this one whether he had swapped roles, but seems like perhaps stubbornly so, continuing on with the carry, and he's certainly a capable player. RoboZ sporting the Jiren avatar right now on his profile, and his name is Jiren as well, his non-esports name. So for those of you that play the Dragon Ball Fighters, know that Videl and Jiren came out this week. Maybe BTS, we get a Summit of Pride, Summit of Power, Summit of Power 2 coming up soon. That would be hype. You can catch me doing Russian production at the BTS house from time to time. And hopefully we load in here. Someone paused? What's happening? Here we go. All right. Dota 2, guys. Dream League Season 11 South American Qualifiers. Winner of this series, it is a best of 3 series, is going to move on to the upper bracket of a double elimination playoff with Chaos Esports and Thunder Predator. The loser does not go home just yet. They'll be moving on to that bracket as well, but will be in the lower portion of it. And a loadout smoke from Infamous's side. Wu, Papita, and Timado going to make their way down to the bottom lane. So potential for an aggressive tri lane here. Interesting that they'd have the Underlord in it, though. So I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the laning configuration or if they're just looking for the first blood. It will be that Dazzle towards mid. He's going to smoke out and drop a ward. This will help him out quite a bit. Allow him to land the Poison Touch. And Koto does the same, in fact, on the Tiny. So it is going to be a mid-Tiny. And sort of to some extent, we cautioned against this, against the Dazzle in general. Melee hero's not going to have a great time. But we'll see how he fares. Does that mean it's a 4-position Darks here? That's kind of an odd configuration.
30 seconds.
In any case, we'll see how it plays out. Perhaps it's a support Batrider, although that's odd as well. I guess that is the case. It must be a support Batrider. Perhaps him and the Darkseer will split the farm a bit. Hope the obsing isn't too jarring for you guys. It's been a while since I've been in the saddle, so hopefully I can take these reins and give you guys a good show. Radiant Ward here. And playing very safe with the Terrorblade Wyvern combination. Wisely so is G-Pride. And the bounty runes will go 2 for 2. As top side of the map secured, we'll check out the block in mid. Both mid laners, once again, do have this ward down. And Koto doing a fine job here, but the Dazzle perhaps even better. As the range creeps will duel to begin. Level 1 Shadow Wave for RoboZ for Jiren. And of course, Tiny going to pick up the Tree Dance. Bottom lane meta already going to be popped by Bernat, and they do have the Splinter Blast early on as well. Trying to establish some dominance in this lane. It's going to be a tough lane, of course, against the Undying, but at least when meta is up, no slouches here are the TB and the Wyvern. Certainly Wyvern can offer some great spells in the laning phase, particularly early on. 12 decay stacks already, and a couple of swipes are going to put Bernat low. But of course, with all those decay stacks, the extra value you get out of the Tango effectively is going to kind of get you back to... Alrighty. We've got a Dire Courier death. I guess the wave took that out. Interesting. But no kills on the board just yet. And Radiant in the mid lane at least taking a nice lead. 4 denies already for Koto's Tiny. Bottom lane with the meta, only 3 last hits for Bear. Now, of course, we know it'll be a difficult lane up against the Tiny, or up against the Undying, excuse me. As top lane, the Darkseer and the Batrider are getting to work, and this Scrub caster doesn't miss First Blood just yet. Surge up on the Batrider. Pepita will feign the Firestorm, but bring it back and use it. Look to use it in perhaps a more advantageous situation. Koto 10-6 on the Tiny is dominating the Dazzle. And there you go, ladies and germs. What do I know about Dota 2? Easy matchup for the Tiny. Alright. Poison Touch does fly out. RoboZ looking to chase him down. Slight move speed advantage for the Dazzle. There's a haste, but one more right click will get him the kill. And I'm going to say that that was okay to miss the top lane kill to get the mid laner one. Meanwhile, still going to work. Top lane are the G-Pride dual lane. And wisely, I guess, or luckily perhaps, the Batrider will trade his life, but only when no one is around to soak the experience for it. So overall, still a pretty big win. As you can see, there's a little bit of gold going back the way. Oh, I didn't even catch that last death, I suppose. Toss up back into tower range for RoboZ. He's in trouble now. No tree left, but the big long range right click from Koto finds a kill. G-Pride up 4-2. Remember, in the first matchup between these teams, G-Pride was 2-0'd pretty decisively. So a great start for them here. And as mentioned previously, they are coming into this game with some momentum after 2-0ing SG Esports. So making their bid for the upper bracket. Koto's doing particularly well on this Tiny. He did take that one death, but gets the kill back, so it works out for him. Oh, and the Terrorblade going to find a kill on the Undying as Sladen makes his rotation bottom with a set of boots and his support Batrider. We kind of mentioned how he could have his way with any lane here and perhaps support even the more intelligent decision from G-Pride as they allow him to sort of roam wherever he pleases, get the Darkseer a good start, excuse me, and we know how well Darkseer can do in a lane where he's had a good start. Tomato gonna have a TP down from Moose and bringing in Wu. Decay is there. Sladen getting low. And a couple more right clicks. Soul Rip is there, but he salves around the tree line. He'll be just fine. And all the meanwhile, the TB just walking over to show face, but more or less last hitting in lane for that amount of time. Take a look at the levels across the board. The Terrorblade's a little behind as expected. And Batrider doing work again, so now I'm starting to miss those kills. But 6-2, last couple kills going the way of G-Pride, and all things going pretty well for them. Although the last hit's starting to look like they're in favor of the Dire. Still a slight net worth lead for G-Pride side, and certainly the experience in their favor as well. Robo steps down, could be in trouble at this point. Toss back, Poison Touch will go out. Koto trying to bait him down. Sladen off on the east side. Looking to maybe come down. It hits nighttime. He walks in at the perfect timing. Firefly is there. Toss up into the air. And this Batrider is doing phenomenally in this one. The Tiny does end up dropping. And now Panthera dueling up with Pepita. He's a beefy Underlord. Has a ring of health. But still, if he can keep in range, the Ion Shell will do the deed. Panthera able to get himself a solo kill up top. And Sladen will return now on the Batrider. So all things going very well for the Radiant here early on. And 2 of their 3 deaths, recall, have been when no hero is around to soak the experience. So, you know, despite this CS lead for the Dire side, really the only question mark early on is this Terrorblade. He will get jumped forward on by Moose, but no shards available yet. Now Berna going to look to punish him as he's deep behind enemy lines, and he will simply accept his fate, try and cut his way out of the trees, but basically, you know, effectively keeping his teammates safe by going deep for this one. He will force out the meta, so space created, I suppose. But in the meantime, Infamous do have their Morphling farming away. And the Batrider so far, if you take a look, 2, 1, and 5, 7 of the 9 kills that have been secured by G-Pride's side have been secured while the Batrider is present and contributing. And a little bit of a value team Shrine. The smoke's going to come out as well. Bear not going to make his way down to the bottom, likely alongside with the Wyvern as well. Oh, the Wyvern makes his way towards mid, but Sladen, under the cover of smoke, going to look for Robo again. He's fairly tanky, 980 HP, no levels in the grave, 2 levels in the Shadow Wave, 3 nulls available. Switch to the treads. Splinter Blast going to come out, toss up in the air, and the Firefly Robo-Z left for dead. Meanwhile, Terrorblade being chased bottom lane, but he gets a nice illusion body block in the pincer. Well played by Berna. Very aware of the situation on the map, knows they're making a move on mid, but now could be in a little bit of trouble. Moose does not have anything but a snowball and won't look to make the aggression. Go back to the CS war here. Feels so nice to be using spectator keys again. Koto in the mid lane, very low on mana, so Robo-Z not feeling entirely threatened at the moment, and sounds like the Shrine being popped by Berna, who's made his way up here as bottom has become a little too perilous. Meanwhile, top lane, the Root going to come out from the Underlord, and a couple of right clicks as Tomato makes his first rotation. Will grab a Darkseer, certainly not a completely inconsequential kill, as the Darkseer at this juncture in the game, the highest level on the map, level 7. Tomato, though, going to need to continue to farm here, and that's going to kind of leave Pepita in this awkward position where it's like, well, not sure what I'm doing in this top lane now. But thanks for the help, buddy. Winter Wyvern slowing up the Moo's Tusk here. He will snowball, but it's only one potential target here, and Sladen actually lets him stay on the low ground, interestingly enough. Soul Rip is not there in time from Wu. And an easy kill for this Triumvirate of Heroes for the Infamous side. Good for the Terrorblade to be involved in that one as well. As you take a look at the net worth, he's on the lower side of things. Definitely a hero that can catch up with his inclination to farm the jungle. And overall, net worth still slightly in the Radiant's favor, but as expected, the experience a little more so. 11-4, however, still a pretty even game across the board. You do worry for this Tiny, though, for the Radiant side, who's doing very well. 1,400 gold on top of the treads on his way to a Blink Dagger. Arctic Burn going to come out bottom lane. Splinter Blast is there as well, but Sladen perhaps a little bit overconfident here. The Cold Embrace comes out from range from Raisin. When did that get that far? And Splinter Blast burning down 2 stacks of Napalm. Wu going to be fine, but still just these 2 heroes able to do this much work. Now the DD, popped by Koto. He's going to walk forward, look for the kill on the Underlord. Should find it here with the DD, and he does. And now the sticky Napalm going to also find Moose on the wayside. There is a Shrine with Wu available. Decay going to come out. Shrine is there. Long range tree toss. Will not kill off the Undying, but Koto looking for the combination, and they won't even need to expend it here. Trying to get that last hit. Sladen, though, burns him down already. 2 levels in the Firefly, 3 levels in the sticky Napalm. This is a level 6 Batrider. 10 minutes into the game out of the support role. Pretty good timing for him. And Berna now looking to farm up the jungle on his TB.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Top lane, it looks like similarly so. We have Tomato farming up the jungle. Does have his Morbid Mask, so can just stay on the map as long as need be. Lasso, bottom lane, going to find Pepita. And the combo is there, but the Soul Rip keeping him alive. As well, they'll drop down the Tombstone. This is a difficult fight now for the Radiant side. Snowball going to look to chase. Wu is still a little bit low. Koto does not have his cooldowns, however. And now a TP in from the Dazzle as well. Cold Embrace should just delay the inevitable here. Excuse me. And Koto will be the sacrificial lamb as the TP out is successful for Sladen. It does buy some space for the Terrorblade, however. Panthera has done a decent chunk of damage to the Tier 1 top lane as he's able to kind of cut this wave up against Tomato. But a nice kill to find nonetheless for Infamous, and with many heroes nearby and a siege creep, they'll likely put some pressure into this tower. Raisin does have the Cold Embrace, does have the Splinter Blast to kind of break this up. Now they're going to immediately look to find him in the trees, and the creeps will do it for them As Raisin completely pincered in. He's going to kind of early on cold embrace here. Koto going to come through, however. Avalanche onto a couple, but a big shadow wave. Heroes and creeps available there. Now TPing in is Panthera. He does have a level 1 vacuum here. Wall is there as well. Nice vacuum. Snowball, though, going to save up all the Dire side, and they are going to look to walk through the Pit of Malice. Still, though, Firefly with the Surge doing so much work. Moose is the first to drop. Toss up. Pepito will go down as well. And a full 5-man response coming out from Gorillaz-Pride. Tomato, in the meantime, knows he's scot-free top lane. And going to put some serious damage into this tier 1. He is a Morphling, ladies and gentlemen, so we know how quickly he can deal with that. Bottom lane, the opposite tier 1 is likely to fall. Bernat immediately TPs towards mid to find himself some farming space. But Tomato going to be a large beneficiary of the trade overall. It is 2 heroes, however, to go down in the favor of the Radiant side. It still feels like Infamous, though, have done a good job, despite it being 15-6, to stifle the bleeding. And if we look at the net worth overall, Tomato by far the leader. And G-Pride with really a fairly docile lead at this point, considering the kill advantage. Only 2k in their favor. Looking for the Courier was Sladen, but now he's just going to hang around and protect the Arcane Rune. Koto does have a bottle, so he'll likely be the one to snag that. Tomato going to get his Yasha here and farming up a Storm. The Terrorblade, though, has caught up very admirably. 2nd overall. As you see, goes for the max farming build. 0-4-4. No points in the reflection. And seems to have paid off. And they definitely have 4 heroes other than this TB that are very capable of making moves. Smoke into the Dire jungle for the absolutely highest worth target on the map by G-Pride. And the blink forward is going to find Tomato. He'll be comboed up with ease. And Koto the one to take it. They'll sacrifice their tier 1 tower in the safe lane, but well worth the Morphling kill. And now into the mid lane goes Koto. Scared me a bit. Thought he might have jumped on another target, but Wu was safely tucked away in the trees. Sladen in trouble now. Big shadow wave and a couple of right clicks from Robo Z. Gonna take him down. Moves alongside him. And I haven't casted Dota in a while, but it's also been a while since I've seen a game this even at the 14-minute juncture. Really no side taking a stark advantage in this one. The support's certainly a little bit more farmed for the Radiant side. But they do have, they are top heavy for Infamous with the Dazzle and the Morphling. Of course, you're a little bit more concerned, I would say, in the mid game about a tiny Terrorblade than you are a Morphling Dazzle. Dazzle tends to fall off in the late mid game, and Morphling takes a little longer than the early mid game to come online. Of course, can do building damage as we saw top lane, but as far as a kill threat, isn't the scariest. Darkseer making a move bottom lane alongside 2 comrades. He's going to shove the wave here and look for a response and hopefully elicit one for the Tiny to combo up. Tiny walking up the hill. Oh, high ground vision for Moose will keep him safe. But the bottom tower going to be taken out here with ease. Oh, Surge, blink to the west. They are going to find the Tusk, who is trying to mount a defense a little bit early. They'll drop the wall right on top of him, snowball through, and Moose for now going to be safe. Graved up as well. The Darkseer in trouble. Winter's Curse is there, though, and the Dazzle will kill off his comrade. Darkseer comes back as well to take the Bounty Rune. Is still alive on the top side of his fight. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Koto taking damage. Wu still alive. This Dazzle Undying combination is just literally that, undying. And a replicate stolen toss, it looks like, for, yeah, Tomato. Going to secure him another kill. Tomato has been making very timely rotations on his Morphling in this game. And you can see 2 1-1, so only been involved in 3 kills, but it just feels like they've been important. And even the fights that he stayed out of to get the tower top lane felt important. He gets the last hit. He does not. The Dazzle gets the last hit on the tower in mid. But in any case, Morphling certainly a force to be reckoned with here. One thing we can say for that fight for the Radiant side is that they did not have Bernat anywhere near it. And we talked about those 4 heroes creating space for him. He now has the full Manta style available. And he did take out the tower. I thought that tower was still standing. Safe lane, tier 1. So that's where you see that big influx of gold here for the Terrorblade. 8,400 net worth at this juncture in the game as we settle things down with a pause. Still, though, we look at it, and it's not even a 2K net worth lead here, 16 minutes in. And it's about the same as far as experience goes. We are sitting more or less dead even, and we can start to speculate about you know, the types of the composition of the lineup and how well they scale. But overall feels fairly even. I mean, despite the fact that there is a Dazzle core on Infamous' side, Morphling is certainly a hard carry into the late game. And definitely someone that can build a BKB, which to some extent sort of nullifies the Tiny, who's gone for the blink route and is likely going Echo Saber, if that even still builds into Echo Saber. Let's see if this noob caster. Yes, all right, good. Could be a BKB, but that feels odd against a mostly physical lineup, or at least the bulk of the damage is coming physically. Overall, map control feels fairly even. Not too many wards. I mean, if you look at the Radiant Vision, they see absolutely nothing. Look at the Dire Vision, it's close to nothing. They've got one deep ward down here, which will allow them to sort of push in this tier 2. But you aren't expecting to find kills with this ward necessarily. You're kind of looking to see TPs into the shrine. Maybe you catch someone jungling here, but it's unlikely. You're more likely to see the Radiant playing the top side of the map. At this point in the game, there's Roshan, there's 2 towers to take. So in general, just a much more important side. If they were to make a move towards this bottom lane, it's likely they would do it as many heroes to try and take out those 2 towers. So both teams playing pretty blind, both teams with a relatively even net worth, as we should expect in a decider match in GSL. These 2 teams sticking it out till the bitter end. Brought this up to look at items somewhere. There we go. Full pipe is completed on Pepita. He's quietly been able to assemble that. We've already talked about the Morbid Mask Yasha. There is a level 2 Necro Book on Robo Z. And certainly without the Morphling, they're sort of sorry when it comes to pushing. So they certainly can use that bit of a boost, especially because Morphling in general tends to be a hero that plays off by his lonesome. A little less so with the changes to Replicate, you know, a few patches ago, but still a hero that often likes to be alone. Is a very elusive hero with the extra waveform range if he picks that up. So Koto, we talked about Echo Saber. There is a pipe on Panthera as well, so matching pipes for either side. Sladen has 2,000 gold, so he's close to his Blink Dagger as well. And with a double Blink lineup, that means you can jump in, find one target, jump in, find the Dazzle as well, which is very, very powerful. If you can jump in and combo someone with the Tiny and jump in and grab the Dazzle, or vice versa, that bodes extremely well for you in the team fight. And basically the Tiny can now kind of go on any target because he'll often elicit a reaction from the Dazzle or the Tusk. And if the Batrider can then follow up, Lasso is very much more effective as a counter initiation tool than it is as an initiation tool because of the nerfs to its range. So if Koto can be the one to initiate the fight and Sladen can play a counter initiating role, that feels very scary for Infamous' side. G-Pride, though, are looking to group up, it seems, here. I think it would probably be wise for them to avoid fighting just until this Batrider is able to pick up his Blink Dagger, which is a big spike in power for them here around 16 minutes, and we've already seen how inclined they are to look to fight. I haven't seen any reason for this pause. Robos is feeling sick. All right. So diarrhea confirmed on the on the side of Infamous. Jiren has been training a little too much. There's a little fanfare for you Dragon Ball fans, of which I am one of.
Very good.
So a little bit of, we've got a few artists on these squads here. Very nice freehand right angle triangles. Also a nice isosceles in there at one point. Sanj picked up as well, actually, by Timano. Didn't notice that in the stash. Well, that could be a pretty big spike in power for him as well. He's got the Scotty and the Ethereal Blade queued up. Ethereal Blade, of course, effective on Morphling in general. Very effective versus a Terrorblade, both offensively and defensively. He does, of course, have a Manta, so it's not the most reliable, but if he's able to hit it, could be team fight changing. Of course, something very effective against a Morphling is this Winter's Curse as well, but it is still level 1 on that massive cooldown. Massive. 80 seconds. Not even that large. What are you talking about? Shorter duration. I'll say that. That's what I meant. But the Winter Wyvern still in need of levels, and in fact, on the Infamous side, completely starved out of these supports. This Batrider was level 6 at 10 minutes into the game, and we are sitting at 16 minutes in with 2 level 6 supports on the Infamous side. And really, the Undying is concerning just for the fact that, you know, this Tombstone is so low level, with the Terrorblade having a Manta, and the Tiny often initiating the fight. Feels like Tombstone will be mostly ineffectual in these team fights. But we'll see how this changes. Of course, Tusk and Undying, not really heroes that farm their way back into the game. They need to team fight their way back in. And G-Pride did a very good job of controlling the tempo early on by forcing reaction, by driving the kills, driving the fights towards the lanes of their choice, being able to sort of duck the Terrorblade away into the jungle, provide him with safe spots on the map, create space. And really all of it kind of seems to come from how well Koto did early on in the mid lane. And Sladen, of course, was an absolute monster on his Batrider in the side lanes, but he also came into mid a couple of times, and had Koto not done as well as he did early on, you don't really see that Dazzle as a killable target. Often builds into multiple null talismans early on, and is just very tanky with his spells as well. He's got those 3 nulls in the Necro, 1700 HP. So they definitely do understand that they want to be able to bulk up against the Tiny. But, you know, you can even see the residual sort of result here. 14 denies on the Tiny is second highest in the game. And that's all from the early laning phase, as obviously both teams don't want anyone to stream snipe here, crossing out the entire map. And it does look like we'll get action back underway once again. And an Arcane Rune going to be bobbled by Koto. Sladen going to make a risky move up the hill, potentially. He will Firefly here. And a ping comes out from the Tusk. Did get a brief look at him. It is nighttime, but go get your Blink Dagger. You just need 200 gold. Use that Firefly. There you go. And the Firefly, of course, as I say, it will expire with the good old Caster's Curse. But Sladen very close to picking up his Blink here, which will be, again, as mentioned earlier, a pretty big power spike. Nice play here, using the Arctic Burn to get the ward down. Winter's Curse comes out on the Dazzle, on the Underlord, but it's really not going to do all that much. And that is a odd usage of a big team fight tool for G-Pride. Of course, not the largest cooldown in the world, despite what I said earlier. And maybe we look for an assemble and a push here. It looks like Infamous want to pick off first. They're going to make their way up the hill, but not going to find the Terrorblade, who's in their jungle farming. So this should give them a good indication of where everyone is. Koto gonna see the enemy. Oh, gets his Blink Dagger canceled. He's in big trouble here. Wall, though, is real nice from the Darks here, but they don't have just enough damage yet. Snowball with 2 heroes in it is gonna jump towards Koto. Gets Shadow Waved up and punched into the air and brought down. Surge away from the Darks here. Raisin is in a little bit of trouble. Is able to fly up and down the hill, though. And now the Terrorblade is TP'd in. They're going to try and Dark Rift out. They'll sacrifice the Undying. Robo should make it away. Vacuum play from Panthera is not there. It's a large cooldown, but the Morphling is still around. He's going to morph down to the low ground and now reflected up. He's lassoed. He has morph into strength coming, though, and Berna in trouble as the TP's back to the tier 1. Nicely played by Infamous as they Dark Rift out and TP back in. And maybe even on purpose, Tomato hanging around to bait in G-Pride. And Infamous take a decisive team win in the mid lane. And what's starkly different of this team fight from the previous ones is that the Terrorblade is there. He brings all his net worth to the fight. And it goes majorly in the favor of Infamous. 2,300 net experience, 1,300 net gold is going to swing this one wide open. Infamous feeling much better about their position in the game. Now Snowball through the pit is not going to make it up towards the Batrider, who does have the blink. Koto has activated Arcane Rune right now, but doubt he'll be able to make a push for the Roshan pit. And it looks like they will concede this to Infamous. Koto going to look for the kill on the mid lane tower. Toss up, but the glyph is there, and they'll even be able to defend this. So a major sequence of events for Infamous' side. Excuse me, who we said, you know, early on did really weather the storm, and it just took them this one team fight to look real solid. Level 3 Necro Book available for Infamous. Top lane, they'll find out the Batrider. Tomato will get the kill. Aegis in hand, Sanj and Yasha completed up. 2,100 gold in addition to that. Bottom lane, safely so, Koto and Panthera looking to push in this tier 2. But yeah, Darkseer, he's not the best building pusher. Good lane pusher. Oh, the combo used up by Koto here. Pit of Malice can drop and maybe look to find him out. But Papita just going to push this lane out by his lonesome. He knows he's not all that threatened by just 2 heroes here. Although a lot of other heroes are missing on the map for the Radiant side. Look at the Dire's Vision. They really don't see anyone at this point. But now flying over a ward is the Batrider. Tomato looking to get him. Hits him with the Adaptive Strike. And that's going to push him towards base, if nothing else. He does have the Tranquil Boost, so maybe just hangs around a bit. But still, feels like he's in danger here. Horizon nearby as well. Maybe looking for a kill on a supporting hero by cursing them with the Morphling nearby. And they do give the Tome of Knowledge.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Okay, they gave it to the to the Undying on the Dire side and the Winter Wyvern on the Radiant. Tomato going to make his way out, but a nice vacuum into the Winter's Curse. Morphling going to take out his comrade. Tusk will be first to die. Splinter Blast does not really connect on anyone else. Dark Rift going to fly through, but doesn't really matter all that much. A nicely placed wall will kind of force them to be split here. And they do have a lasso available, but doesn't look like there's any major rush to initiate the fight here. As Terrorblade does have a TP available. But they'll concede the tier 2 for now. Continue to Splinter Blast the wave. Pipe will keep the Necro units healthy. And Berna will continue to push in the bottom lane. TP right onto the Shrine from the Terrorblade. Looking for kills. Sladen going to find one, but the Pit of Malice keeps him in place. He's going to be brought down immediately. Reflection is there. Toss up. Combo onto Tomato. He's down, but it's just the Aegis. And now they're the Radiant willing to continue to fight. No wall is available. They do have a nice vacuum, but nothing really to combo it off of. Berna does have a fresh BKB to use. He's going to put some punishment into the Undying, but the Grave is there. The Soul Rip is there. Wyvern in trouble. Koto and Berna the only ones standing. They do get a kill on the Undying. Tomato forced to run away, but the Terrorblade's brought down, and so is the Tiny. And they spend it all on Tomato. And an odd decision for them to continue fighting. The Morphling, though? Oh, it's still the level 1 Winter's Curse. Maybe another 1.5 kills off Tomato there, but they jump forward for that vacuum, and it's an awesome vacuum, but there's nothing but Terrorblade right-clicks to combo it off of, so very, very odd decision. As the Batrider goes down immediately, they continue to fight. They got the Aegis. They could have just traded it sort of 1 for 1. It felt, anyways. Especially with the TB BKB, but they really wanted to use that 10-second BKB in a full-fledged engagement, and they'll end up paying for it quite dearly. As you can see, all of G-Pride's lead has been squandered at this point. Look at that drop in net worth all the way to an Infamous lead, and the experience is pretty heavily in Infamous's favor as well. We're feeling good about this one. The Morphling working on that Scotty has one ultimate orb and enough for a second. Almost enough for the full item, really. Bit of defensive vision being assembled here by the Radiant side. Some sentries as well. Catch anyone inbound. Koto pinged out, or his brief location was, at least. Shadow Wave going to keep the wave pretty healthy, but it is going to walk under tower where Koto can farm it up. Still, though, it is a tier 2 conceded here, and Berna having to play safe top lane. Firefly already used by Sladen.
Under attack.
And easy pickings. Oh. You know, the 1 second I look away, my second screen had, I clicked off of OBS. Look away and you miss another damn kill. Such is life. Terrorblade picks up a not inconsequential kill, but a pretty... not much to write home about. This Undying is as poor as it gets. Poorest in the game. Just doing his best to throw out that Tombstone and a couple of team fight abilities with the Soul Rip. Some decays. Crimson Guard fully completed up here by Pepita. Darkseer on the other side looks like he's working on a Shiva's. Perhaps a Hex. It is the Hex, actually, queued up. Tomato going to have his entire squad smoking behind him. And actually going to start to maybe put some right clicks into this tier 2. Thinks better of it as they make their way off to the east. Panthera on the low ground. Sladen nearby as well. Poison Touch finds him. He'll drop down the wall, get a nice vacuum off, but it's likely him just to run. Pit of Malice, Snowball going to catch him. Walrus punch up into the air, and everyone else TPing out. The Terrorblade Illusions continuing to push the wave in, and now they want to look to make a move mid on Tomato. They know there's no heroes nearby. Koto finds him, but actually blinks away, knowing that that immediate move westward is going to be made by Infamous, and they were under the cover of smoke. Koto jumping forward. Adaptive Strike is there. Ryzen really wants to wait for someone else to curse, but he actually curses the Morphling, and yeah, Tomato's going to be just fine. Easily healed up by the Dazzle. And the Guardian Greaves also on the Dazzle. So Terrorblade just in need of a bit of a mana, and with this siege creep and the residual duration of this Necro unit, tier 2 will be made quick work of, and Roshan minimum spawn in 50 seconds. So it looks like Infamous will play this one fairly safe and look to sort of convene around the pit for the next couple of minutes. Haste Rune going to be picked up by Tomato. Had he checked in 30 seconds or so, he may have been lucky, but Morphling with a Haste Rune can do a lot of farming in 30 seconds, and Tomato will do just that. He's got the full Scotty, as you can see, via the right-click animation. And this is getting more and more difficult, it seems. No real saves for this Terrorblade. I mean, you've got the Cold Embrace, but
Radiant are scanning.
Not the same as a Grave or a Snowball, as it renders you, unable to cast Sunder and things of that nature. But the Butterfly, soon to be completed by the TB, is on the way, I believe. Maybe. Quarterstaff in the stash. Hello, Terrorblade. Meanwhile, mid lane, a little bit of pressure being put onto the tier 3 with the Necro units. Flamebreak will make work of the illusions, and Koto will clean up what remains. Again, though, it's more about Roshan for Infamous right now. They're just keeping the pressure on the Radiant base. And in fact, as I say that, their courier enters the pit and will find the Roche. Terrorblade has pushed in bottom lane and is doing a little bit of damage to the tower with his illusions, so good on him. But really, this game is about the next Roche fight more than anything. Morphling in a meta. Or not meta. He just looks super cool in normal form. Now he's going to meta. And again, without contest from G-Pride, Infamous going to be able to steal this Roshan from right under their noses. Last time it was a bit more known as they were able to take it off the back of a team fight. But that is going to be Aegis and Cheese, I believe. They'll find themselves an illusion and get really excited. Up on the high ground, though, still looking to take a fight. Jumping forward, Lasso on the Aegis target here. They will likely make quick work of this Morphling. They do. Nice Winter's Curse on the backline. Can they follow this up? Panthera still has a vacuum, but unwilling to contribute forward or push forward. Reflection comes out by Tomato, and it is doing work on the Radiant lineup. They take out the Darkseer immediately. BKB up from Berna. He's trying to put some right clicks in. Can Sunder, but is just going to turn tail and run. And if he dies here, that's Meta and BKB down for his next life. Slayton able to force staff over to the west. Koto still alive. Nice avalanche onto 4 targets. Reflection is there as well, but Berna in trouble as he returns to the team fight. He returns to die. No buybacks for the Darkseer or the Terrorblade. And this is looking like at least 1 lane of racks for the Radiant side with no TB for 55 seconds. Even if they had him, he wouldn't have Meta or BKB. And Papita will blow a kiss to the Radiant side as they watch their structures be demolished. I don't know how something can demolish. Self. Alright, shards catch Koto, but a nice timely surge, and the Pit of Malice is a bit short to catch the Tiny. It would have been a dieback had they caught him, but it's 2 lanes of racks, maybe 3 here. Is there a last stand to be made? Winter's Curse is available. Vacuum is there, but Ryzen not in position to get the Winter's Curse off. Decay thrown out and Mega Creep secured by Infamous. And a toss back in from Wu. Nice Winter's Curse on the 4, but no follow-up once again. Aeon Disc is there as well for the Dazzle to keep him fighting. And Infamous, as they did earlier in this group, take the first game off of G-Pride. And a very, very disciplined, calm showing from them overall. As the early game went very poorly. It was something like 11-4 early on. And you just look in the early game, and Gorillaz-Pride steadily increasing their advantage. Not to any sort of massive number, but certainly increasing their advantage steadily. And a nice sort of couple of fights, especially centered around Roshan, that Infamous were able to take to get them back in the game. I mean, Slayton, despite his best efforts in the early game, still had 15 kill involvement for his squad, but unable to carry them to victory in this one, guys. Papita, Tomato, and the crew going to take a 1-0 advantage over Gorillaz-Pride. We'll see if they can come back and take this decider match to a deciding Game 3, or if Infamous can 2-0 them for the second time in this group and make their way to the upper bracket.